And then the weather arrives, which is an early poem, and seems to be partly about imagining someone's going to come up and spend the night with you, but in fact doesn't. Probably.
Yeah, it's like letting go of a love and kind of an imagined echo.
It's such a great poem because you're imagining that encounter, but you're alone.
Right.
And the other one is the sad part is, which is coming back from, I think, the laundromat and being alone and kind of. Do either of those strike you as relevant to this thing I'm saying, and would you be willing to look at either of those?
Now, remind me again what this thing you're saying is.
Well,
like I'm not being an actor.
I made it more complex than it is. Writing is desire, not a form of it, so the poems are desire. And so one is desirous and makes poems.
And desire isn't always sexual. I mean, in a way, it's sort of about a desire. I mean, I think we were saying this. It's just like a desire to be present.
Right.
And the how completely, I just sitting here now, it's just like, some part of me is like, and not because how wonderful to be sitting in front of a room full of people talking about your own work, right? But then there's still
no
that
desire
there's
right
still,
now.
But there's still that biological or that thing where you just kind of forget where you are and what you're doing, and you're, later on, I think I better go do that and thing. It's just like, and it's just like, it's so kind of like missing the party, of the present. I remember talking to. Like I'm a quasi-Buddhist, and so at different points, so it means I sit some of the time. I've been part of groups of people who sit, Zen. I like Zen. I don't like Tibetan Buddhism, because Tibetan Buddhism seems to be more attractive to like Protestants and Jews and Catholics. It's just like it's already too fluffy being a Catholic. It's too much. You want Zen. Like less, please. But I've sat with Zen teachers, and you do that thing that they call it interviews, where you kind of bow and you sit down, and they say, "What is your question?" And you have a question. And mine was just the first time I asked, it was like about this problem of presence, which is that there were these moments in my life that I've awaited with great expectation, and then somehow I got there and I forgot to remember to be present, or we were all there to watch the tower light up, and somehow I turned and looked, and the tower was already lit. Or, when the World Trade Center, when those, I remember like being, Jordana called me and said, I guess we can't go to the airport today. A plane hit the World Trade Center. And I was like, what? So I'm throwing all my cutoffs, running up to the roof, and looking, and there's the two towers flaming, and then I was like, I better get some coffee. Go down, come back up, and there's only one tower. And I was like, whoa, I need some more coffee. I go down. So obviously, it's like the great, spectacle of actually seeing the towers collapse, I wish I saw that, and stuff. But it just as an illustration, it was just like endlessly always somehow missing the thing. And so I said, what is this about? Why am I always not there? And he said, well, it's not the moment. It's all the moments leading up to the moment. It's sort of like you already weren't there. That's the problem. It's sort of like you weren't there before you walked in the room. It's sort of like, so how could you be in the room? And it's just, so I feel like my work so much, it's not whatever the line is, desire, not a form of it. It's sort of like, I desire to be here desperately. You know what I mean? I think love is like that too. It's just like, am I actually connecting with another human being? Is this actually happening?
And in the first of those poems, the weather, and when then the weather arrives, you're imagining someone coming up the stairs and spending the night with you, but that doesn't happen. But the poem does that.
Exactly.
Right? It's like Greece. You get to go to Greece for a month in the poem.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like, I hate to use such an ancient, well, it's an ancient word, consolation. Poetry is a consolation for the ways in which you fail to be present.
I was a great poet, and I would always be alone. That doesn't mean like literally alone. It means that the state of being a poet means Greece is here, Joel Cotten is here, the encounter I'm not having tonight is here.
Home is here.
Yeah. We've already talked about it, but would you be willing to read And Then the Weather Arrives?
Yeah. No,
it's page 97, a very early poem.
Thanks.
And then we're going to ask for questions that you might have, so get ready.
They're already not ready.
Oh, there's stuff written. Please don't read
I
those.
can't. I won't. I'm just...
Oh, you make me so embarrassed. There's a clean copy.
No, it's perfect.
She's going to...
There's like underlining and then like a line and a little loopy thing. Right.
Getting older, less wild.
I wasn't going to say
but you
that.
weren't even that old.
I thought we're talking about you.
No,
I
no,
think. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like-
Oh no, I was talking about you getting older. Less. No, it begins by saying nobody comes up in the middle of the night anymore. I'm getting older, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't mean that.
Okay.
I'm like not that old. I was pretty young when I wrote this poem.
Okay.
And also, there's a whole thing which is sort of is a essay at the end that actually
Yeah.
explains that line completely differently. So
Yeah.
I can tell
completely
you about that.
differently from the way I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fucking teachers.
You know.
They don't know what they're doing.
And then the weather arrives. I don't know no one anymore who's up all night. Wouldn't it be fun to hear someone really tired come walking up your stairs and knock on your door? Come here and share the rain with me. You. Isn't it wonderful to hear the universe shudder? How old it all, everything must be. How slow it goes, steaming coffee, marvelous morning, the tiniest hairs on the tree's arms coming visible. I like it better. No one knows sweetness, moving your lips in silence, closing your eyes all night. It's so much better disarming myself from terror and light passing through a painting I stuck on a window earlier when I was scared. It's great. It's really great. Trees hold the world, and the weather moves slow. Even a body dissolves and takes a place incorrectly everywhere I would like to nuzzle and plants a heart in the world voiceless. I began knocking, ridiculous, just to hear your echo back, arm against face, just to stop those fucking trucks. My thoughts are vanishing into that sweetness. So good about the trucks.
I know. It's just on cue. That was great. Do you still like that poem?
I love this poem. This
Yeah.
is one of my favorites
Yeah.
because it changes speed all the time. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing that's really.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when it goes on painting I stuck on a window earlier when I was scared, and then it's almost like somebody else comes up and goes, "Great, it's really great."
Yeah.
You know, like you're changing the subject inside of
Yeah.
yourself. You know, and having a different tone and a different speed and
That
it's like
great knocking too, Eileen, where you're almost knocking, you're sounding out the space you're alone in, but you've got this encounter that's in the poem. It's, like there's that great poetic tradition. I don't know how great it is. There's a poetic tradition of, we made love all night and now it's the morning and really great, and I'm going to write a poem about that. But this is a poem about that encounter not happening except as a result of your desire in your mind. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful.
the thing. Also, it is kind of literal, but in the end, at the end of the book, there's like an essay, and it, and it compares this poem to another poem, and it's about different relationships receding. But in one of the relationships, the characters in the relationship all dub themselves different names. And so one person said, "I'm no one," and one person said, "I'm someone," and one person said, "I'm anyone." So when I say, "I don't know no one anymore who's up all night," the fun is using bad English to say, I meant this woman who called herself no one. So I'm missing no one, meaning her.
Oh.
Yeah. So
And
again,
I should have read more closely
well, you
the
should. I mean, it's just like
postscript,
I feel like
because you
so
made
much,
it really clear.
So much of poetry is just private jokes you're having with yourself. It's like knowing that this seems clear, but it's not clear because I know what it means.
Not even
so
to
you just-
me. That was a setup. You were supposed to say, "Oh, it's okay, Al." Oh, never mind. We're not doing that.